Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to BNN. We're here with our favorite female monk, Ayasoma. Let's all give a round of applause for Ayasoma. Yay! So Ayasoma is overflowing with energy, as all of you who have met her know. She's a never-ending font of enthusiasm. So it's only proper that she be giving the talk tonight on energy. Do you see the energy in her face? So much energy. And hello to friends joining in. Hello, Elaine, Gita, Edward, Kevin, Anat, Lilia, Bradley, Ron, Yulia, Rich. Happy all of you are joining in. People are saying, love you, Ayasoma. Richard Rambau is doing the applause emoji. Welcome, everyone. Elaine is saying, through any virtue we obtain by meditating and listening to Dhamma, may it ease her dog's suffering. Her dog's been having a lot of seizures lately.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
So her dog has a chronic health condition that's been going on for years now, and apparently it's gotten much worse in the last few days. So let's all wish well for Elaine's little furry friend. More people saying they love Ayasoma. Kevin says, Aya, thumbs up. So lots of enthusiasm that you're giving the talk tonight. I'm also enthusiastic she's giving the talk tonight.
No pressure at all.
In case you can't tell. In fact, no pressure. So as usual, we'll start by chanting the Ratana Sutta. So the Ratana Sutta is dedicated to the well-being of everyone affected by the coronavirus, and also for Elaine's little puppy who is having health problems.
And for our friend Leo, who's having a few struggles these days, so sending the good wishes, and may he be happy and free from suffering.
Yes. Okay, so we'll do the chanting together.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yani bhutani samagatani bhummani vayani va antaleke. Sabe bhuta sumana bhavantu atopi saka chasunantu bhasitang. Tasmahi bhutani sameta sabe betang karota manusiya pajaya. Devacharato chaharanti eva ling tasmahi nera kata apamata. Yan kinchi vitang itavahurang vasage suvayang ratanang panitang. No samamati tagatena idampi buddhe ratanang panitang. Etena sachena suvati hotu. Kayang viragang amatang panitang yadachaga sakyamuni samahito. Natena dhammena samati kinchi yedampi dhamme ratanang panitang. Etena sachena suvati hotu. Yang buddha seto parivannai suching samadhi manantare kanyamahu. Samadhina tena samona vijjati idampi dhamme ratanang panitang. Etena sachena suvati hotu.
เยภูมิกาลาอัฏฐสตังภาสัทธาจาตาริเยตานิยุกานิหนติเทดาคิเนยสุกทัสสาวกาเทสุดินนานิมหาภลานิเอดัมปิสังเขรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุเยสุปยุตตามนัสสะดัลเหนะเอกาเมโนโกธรรมสาสนัมหิเทปาติปาทามะทังวิกายหาลันทามุทานิมปุถิงพนจมานาเอดัมปิสังเขรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุยะทินนาคีโลภัทวิงสิโตสิยาจตุมพิวาเทปิยสัมภคัมปิโยทัตุพมังสัมบุริสังวดามิโยอริยสัจจานิยเวชปัสสติเอดัมปิสังเขรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุเยอริยสัจจานิเพภาวยันติกัมพีระพัญเยนะสุเดสิตานิเข็นชาปิเทหนทิภูสาปมาตานะเทภวังอาธรรมังอาดิยันติอิดัมปิสังเขรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุสหาวาสดาสนะสัมปดายะทายาสุธรรมาจหิทาภวันติสากายเดติวิจิกิจิตัญชาสีลับปะทังวาปิยดาติคินจิจตุหภาเยหิจเวปมุตโตชะชาภิธานานิอภัมโบกาตุงเอดัมปิสังเขรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุขินชาปิโสคัมมังคโรติปาปะคังคายเยนะวาจาอุรเชตสาวาอภัมโบโสทัสสะปะเทนชาดายะอภัมมทาเดตปดัสสะพุตตาเอดัมปิสังเขรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุวานาภกุมเมยถาภูสิทังเกมมานามาเสปัตมัสมิงเกมเหจตุปมังธัมมวรังอเดสัยนิมมานากามิงบารมังหิทายะเอดัมปิบุตเทรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุวโรวรัญญูวรโดวราหโรอนุตตโรธัมมวรังอเดสัยเอดัมปิบุตเทรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุขีนังพุรานังนวังนัตติสัมบวังเปรัตจิตายะเตเกภวัสมิงเทขีนาบิจาวิรุลหินชันดานิมบันติทิรายทายังปริโปเอดัมปิสังเขรัตนังปณิตังเทนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุยานิทาพุทธานิสมากทานิภูมานิวายานิวะอันตะเลเกตถาคตังเดวมนุสปุจิตังบุตตังนามาสามาสุวัติโหตุยานิทาพุทธานิสมากทานิภูมานิวายานิวะอันตะเลเกตถาคตังเดวมนุสปุจิตังธัมมังนามาสามาสุวัติโหตุยานิทาพุทธานิสมากทานิภูมานิวายานิวะอันตะเลเก Tathagatang devamanusapujitam sangham namasamasuvati hotu. Etena sachavanjena dukhavupasamintu te. Etena sachavanjena bhayavupasamintu te. Etena sachavanjena rogavupasamintu te.
Right. So we can start by getting into a comfortable position. Closing our eyes. Taking a few deep breaths to relax the body. To relax the mind. Looking for any point of tension in the body. And relaxing it by breathing. Releasing the tension. Feeling the breath moving inside the body. Relaxing every limb, every part of our physical body. And as our body relaxes, we become more comfortable in the body. Watching carefully each in breath and out breath. Noticing how the lungs extend in the torso. How the air flows in and out in the nostrils. How the body of the breath extends all the way to the belly. We contemplate the breath in its entirety. Being aware of the body and the breath all at once. Shifting and changing in every moment. keeping the mind steady on the breath, watching every moment with complete interest. Looking at our experience like it was the first time that we were breathing. If thoughts appear in the mind, we don't get involved with them. We just let them do their thing, appear and disappear, while we keep holding our attention to the breath. and relax. Stretch your body if you need to.
Okay, thank you, Aya. And tonight we're continuing on our series on the 10 parami. And tonight the parami is viriya, or energy. So again, since Ayasoma is a seemingly bottomless well of energy, it's only appropriate that she talk about this topic. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to her and we can all listen attentively to whatever she has to say.
Thank you, Bante, and thank you all for joining us this evening or this morning if you're on the other side of the world. So, the parami that we're studying today, or that we're contemplating today, that's a better word, is energy. And it's kind of ironic because right now I have zero energy. It all faded away at 6 p.m. So as Bante shared, I think this morning and yesterday, we've been quite busy outdoor doing lots of planting and gardening. And yesterday we worked for 11 hours, today we for 8 hours, and my body is full of aches. My mind is a little bit foggy, but so much energy that both of us really put into this project. And yesterday also, our friend Rick, who came, Rich, who came to help out, also put a lot of energy with his friends as well to put some plants in the ground. So much energy. And it occurred to me today while I was still putting, dirt in the pots and creating this nice little flower garden in the patio, herb garden. I was like, wow, so much work, and really, we're kind of like here with no sense of it's going to end at any time. We're putting all this effort in the objective and getting this stuff done, no matter what it takes. And then I reflected, do I actually put the same effort in Dharma practice? And I started contemplating that. And by Dharma practice, I don't mean do I sit for 11 hours straight or 8 hours straight, or on retreats do I put a lot of effort? Because I've actually put a lot of effort during retreats, and I've never sat 11 hours consecutively. That's not in my resume yet, anyway. But have I actually put the same amount of effort in, for example, developing kindness, developing soft speech, kind speech, considerate speech? The same effort in developing generosity, loving kindness. I have put quite a lot of effort in developing equanimity. But have I put exactly the same effort or more effort than than the same intensity than any project I have done in the past, including this one? Since I'm currently not gardening, it's in the past. And I have this I was thinking about it this afternoon. I was like, I have this long resume of really, as Bhante says, because my mom used to say that I have the 75% syndrome. So I would start a project, bring it, put lots of energy into it, dedicate myself into it. And then once it was almost to conclusion, to completeness, then I would kind of lose interest and leave it and drop it. And Bhante was like, I think actually your mom meant the 750% in syndrome. Because he's known me now for a while, he knows that I can really get there and persevere and really not sleep night and day. So it's like, oh, yeah. It's kind of interesting how this pattern is there, but am I actually putting, once again, this pattern into developing also mind states? Since we already came out, Bhante and I, as aversive types, I still have quite a big deal of aversion in my mind. So why haven't I gotten, the job done in that sort of respect, in that field? And it's really interesting when we think about that, of how we dedicate so much time and effort in so many things during the day, during our days, during our life. But sometimes in the things that matter the most, we put less effort, almost like we think that they're easier, not worth really applying ourselves to. Nobody's giving us a degree of the best, most generous person or kindest person or sweetest person. Nobody's writing an article on that, right? There's no New York Times article on, and now we're interviewing this person who has developed this really great quality of mind. Has a really big heart. No, you have to get something done, right? It has to be somewhat concrete and specific. But there is actually this parita that sometimes we chant here, that right now, because my mind is a little bit foggy and tired due to all the physical activity, I don't remember the name, but probably Bhante, who knows everything, can tell me the name. But it's all about chanting about the Buddha that is going into this battle at war with Mara, and that you're thinking, Mara shows up with this army, fierce, ferocious, all weapons, and the Buddha is there facing Mara. So you're expecting the Buddha to get a sword and start, battling with Mara, but actually he defeats him through words of kindness and compassion, acts of generosity. I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly the right words. Do you remember the Pita chanting, the name?
Jayamangala Attagata.
See, there you go. I knew that. Bhante Encyclopedia. Yeah, what a beautiful parita. I love it. It always fills my mind with joy, because you see the strength and how worthy these qualities are, that they defeat anything, all evil. Yet, It's almost like the sort of area where we put the least effort in developing. A lot of times when we talk about energy or effort in Buddhism, the first correlation comes into really sitting down and samadhi practice, vipassana practice. And of course, there's that too, very important. But the approach is a little bit different. It's not that sort of competitive, yeah, I'm gonna kill it and make it, but rather it's, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Arise energy because this is really worth doing. No different than any kind of artist who's really dedicated to their art, that really sits there and dedicates their entire body and mind to the practice because it's enjoyable, because it's something worth doing, something worth developing, not because someone told them that it's good for them. And when we start having that different approach, and we're like, oh yeah, I should really dedicate, really put energy, really put effort into doing this. Same way with the gardening. Whenever I think, oh, this plant brings food to the bees, this other plant creates the conditions for birds to nest or to be protected during the winter. So all these like beautiful qualities that different species of plants have, then it becomes something pleasant where I put so much effort into creating the conditions for that environment to happen, and I'm there working on it. Doesn't matter. I didn't even know that it was at 8 hours. Certain point was 6 p.m. and I was like, oh, I thought it was 3 p.m. even though my body was aching. But it wasn't aching like, I'm gonna just do this until the end. It was like, I'm gonna do it because we need to get it done, but at the same time, what a beautiful thing this is. How beautiful that we're building the soil and giving the soil energy and care and love. So worms can come and populate it underground. We will probably never see them or hardly ever see them, but they're going to have a home instead of having a sterile dirt full of pesticides. So yeah, really looking at a different type of fertilizer that we can give throughout the environment that surrounds us, in the environment of our mind that comes from our mind, and putting effort in creating those wholesome qualities of consideration, of kindness, of carefulness. So then when we get into our battle with Mara, figuratively and physically, if you have experiences of physical Maras, I don't, but for now. But I definitely have the figuratively experiences with Mara. Then we can defeat Mara with the power of these beautiful mental states that we have developed. And always, once again, even though we wear these robes, actually, in this monastery, Dante and I both have bodhisattva vows, actually. Shocking, breaking news. So we both have them, maybe we hold them in different ways. I'm not quite sure. We didn't really sit down and have this conversation. But the way that reason why I have this vow, I took this vow. I didn't take it formally in a Mahayana monastery, a trivia fact, but I did take it formally in my mind. And the reason why I took it was I found it extremely, extremely beneficial to my practice, because it's a way through which it's a means to an end, a way through which I find it very useful to arouse energy in the moments where I have none. Whether I have none because physically I have none, mentally I have none, maybe I'm sleepy, drowsy, or maybe I just can't be bothered. Sometimes maybe I can be bothered, but it's too much. I'm overwhelmed. So the beauty of a vow is that it actually gives you the energy to overcome yourself, to overcome your hindrances, to overcome your limitations. To go, okay, wow, I've worked all day. In the afternoon now, I also have to volunteer organizing this other food distribution thing. I have to do this other thing. Ooh, so much, I can't. Too much work. But then recollecting the vow, going, no, this is for the benefit of all beings. And that kind of, it's, how do you call the little fire thing that you use on the stove? When the stove doesn't light up, then there's like a kind of like the long lighter that you put. Yeah, that's basically, the vow is kind of like that lighter. You ignite the flame and the flame goes back on. And how do you recollect? How do you ignite it? You remember also why you took that vow to begin with. And you recollect the goodness that doing things for others has, the impact that it has on everyone, including yourself. And that arouses so much energy, so much happiness, so much kwamsuk, which is what Ajahn Gandha was quoting the other day, the famous Thai monk that was saying, so much happiness, so much happiness. All delights. Being a good person really, or doing acts of goodness, brings so much happiness in the mind. So then you see the importance of doing things for others. It's a great way, means to an end, for attaining awakening. Otherwise, it's so much easier to become complacent and lazy when we're thinking that this practice is just to attain freedom from suffering, from only our suffering. So it's a little bit different when you think, okay, well, I should wake up this morning and do chanting and meditation, so then I can be free of suffering, but I'm really tired. Okay, well, how about I do it tomorrow? How about I do it once? How about I do it Monday? Monday, I'm going to start my meditation morning practice. But instead, when you start thinking, by meditating every day, my mind becomes much better, much solid, much stronger, much kinder. And I'm a much nicer person with everyone around me. And I start leading by example and creating lots of sort of ripple effect. And you're like, well, yeah, this is worth doing. Let me do this. Let me stand up, wake up, and develop compassion, develop wisdom, develop concentration, develop mindfulness, develop wholesome qualities for the benefit of all beings. Whew, that, when you live in community, for example, lots of times it can happen you wake up in the morning, but well, if I don't show up, it will look bad. And that becomes a chore. But if you start thinking, well, if I don't show up, it will really affect my spiritual companions, because that will sort of create, I will send this energy inside the monastery of laziness. I will send this energy of not caring. You start seeing it. It's a domino effect. But if you show up, you show you're caring. You show, you lead by example. So it's incredible, very immediate effect that one can see in just something simple as showing up for meditation practice, showing up, following the schedule. During retreats, you start seeing people doing whatever they want, coming in and out. Then you're also like, yeah, I don't know if I want to, like, maybe actually I'll just go and chill like the other people are doing there. But if you actually see everyone really working on attaining awakening, then you also want to work on attaining awakening. And if people see you really working on developing wholesome qualities, and then others also want to develop wholesome qualities. So that's why it's so important to find ways through which we can really reinforce, really perfect our quality of energy. Because by perfecting our quality of energy and finding means to an end to perfect it, then we can perfect the entire path. All the ingredients are there. Then we're like, yes, I'm going to develop every single param. Yes, I'm going to meditate. Yes, I'm going to watch my speech. Yes, I'm going to practice metta. And then something like for the benefit of all beings doesn't become a platitude or something abstract or some sort of religious, whatever, cutesy, spiritual phrase, stock phrase. But it really does mean something. The very beginning, when I was hearing these words, may everyone be happy, being an aversive type, I was like, oh God, that's so cheesy. Like, whatever, yeah, like as if sitting cross-legged and having hippie thoughts is going to make a difference in the world. Well, actually it does, if you really put an effort in doing it. If you really understand what it is. So now I don't think of it anymore as something, I don't have any aversion towards math. Actually, I have an incredible appreciation for it. And I totally see how it shifts my mind and how it shifts other people's minds and how it's something worth pursuing. But these realizations one can only have by arousing energy in this way. All right, well, I think that's all I have to say for this evening. I hope it was helpful in one shape or form.
Well, thank you very much, Aya, for arousing energy and giving a lovely talk. So before this talk, she said she didn't have enough energy to give a talk. And I said, well, then that's the perfect reason for you to talk about energy. And you can see it worked. So lots of positive comments being said, lots of sadhus, and so on. So scrolling back up to the top, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them in and I'll read them out for her. So there's a few questions already in. First off, Richard said, so grateful for this each night. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So Gabriela asks, Aya, can you talk about the 4 efforts? Cultivate, protect, restrain, and abandoning. The 4 right efforts.
Can we do that during monk chat? Tonight
Yeah,
I am like a little bit.
That's also the topic of a whole talk, to be honest.
Yes, exactly. Actually, not monk chat. Yeah, let's do it as a topic. There you go.
And Karen, this was fairly early on when you were talking about like putting forth effort in gardening and then asking yourself, why don't I put the same effort into my practice? She said, wow, deep.
Yeah, that's why gardening is, or just being in nature. I find it very, very useful in terms of really understanding the Dharma. You can understand interconnectedness, principles that just by reading in a book, they can sound very abstract. But when you're immersed in nature, then you start seeing how everything is there for a reason and how it interplays. So then you start reflecting. Obviously, like what you see outside then becomes a mirror of what's inside as well, or what you perceive as is inside. So lots of great insights one has. And you can see how, in fact, in the Mahayana tradition, since most of the monastics there anyway have a straight, they work a lot actually in the outdoors, in gardening and various activities in growing things. There's a lot of Dharma that is expressed in those words. And actually, to be quite frank, also in the suttas, the Buddha always uses, not always, but very often uses analogies and words from the natural world.
Also, Kevin made a similar comment. He said, I swear we're connected psychically. I had a very similar thought just today after exercising. I thought, what would my practice be like if I were to apply the same energy?
Well, the other day I told Bante jokingly that if I were a man with children, I would probably be you. It's like there are so many interesting ways that, yeah, we have similar reflections.
And Diane says, I appreciate your diligence in teaching us every night, even with all the work you are doing. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, that's actually Bante. I have to say that also tonight. I was like, Bante, please, I think we should talk about energy. I have no energy. He has really a lot of energy. It's incredible. Yesterday, morning and evening, and this morning, but he's also younger. Ooh, I got a rolling eyes for Bante Siddhas.
So Gabriela asks, Aya, with respect to energizing meditation practice through investigation of Dhamma, euphoria, joy, and mindfulness, how do we bring this meditative energy to a not restless power?
To a not restless power?
Like how to energize your meditation in these ways without becoming restless.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks to Bante for my simplified dictionary. He's like the simplified Google Translate. So wait, repeat. Now I forgot.
With respect to energizing meditation practice through investigation of Dhamma, euphoria, joy, and mindfulness, how do we bring this meditative energy to a not restless power?
Why would you think that it's restless? Why is your experience of restlessness? My experience of restlessness comes actually when it's not related to investigation of Dhamma. So there are 2 different ways of investigating Dhamma. There is the intellectual way. So going like, oh, what are the 5 aggregates again? Let me remember 1, 2, 3. What are the 4 noble truths? Which one is which? Like, and there is the investigation of Dhamma. What is the application of this? What does this mean in my life? So, there is suffering, for example. You can go, okay, yes, I'll remember it in a mnemonic way. And then there is, well, where is the dukkha in my life? Where is the dukkha right now in this moment? This does not create restlessness. Restlessness is when you're like, oh yeah, there's suffering, but what is for lunch? Oh, what am I doing this afternoon? Oh wait, let me call my mom. Oh, okay, my mom's a little bit annoying. Let me walk the dog. Lots of like movement in the mind that creates restlessness. But if we're actually investigating the entire day, where is the dukkha? Seeing dukkha, then we're actually investigating them experientially, really looking at the First Noble Truth. Does that answer the question?
And at some point during the talk, Karen said, such Dharma Sukha.
Oh.
When you mentioned Bodhisattva vows, Gabriella said, same, Aya. We are all Bodhisattvas on our way to save beings. I'm glad I'm not the only Theravada Buddhist with Bodhisattva vows.
Great. Well, I find them especially helpful for aversive types. They are sort of kind of sprinkling that really helps us. Otherwise, we can tend to be, if you focus too much on the drawbacks of samsara, then you can become very alienated by it and just jaded. And then you're fueling your aversion, not doing any type of action, and not making progress in the path. But if you still think, really working on being of benefit to other beings, then I find it incredibly powerful practice.
And also when you were talking about that, Karen wrote, beautiful, what I'm hearing is that individual and collective liberation are intertwined. Aya, what you're saying is resonating deeply for me. I've been depressed to the point where I can't get out of bed, but will pull myself out to walk a friend's dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was my experience of depression. I used to, prior to my Buddhist practice, well, prior to my intensive Buddhist practice, that's more likely. I used to be I would periodically get into bouts of depression. And to the point that I would get very suicidal. And in hindsight, once I got into very intensive Buddhist practice, I just realized that I would become very self-centered in those moments. And when we're really self-centered, really looking too much about me, we're reinforcing our sense of self in a negative way. Hence, we are reinforcing our dukkha. And we're also not doing anything about it. But when we start kind of shifting the attitude towards how can we help others, then we're kind of like leaving a little bit of that load there. And then, of course, we start investigating our suffering and investigating other people's suffering and see that there's not much difference. It showcases in one shape or form that might be, slightly different, but it's kind of like the condiment on salad. The different condiments, but the salad is always the salad. So then that creates wisdom that also brings relief from personal suffering, and we're more capable of helping others. So it goes, actually this would be hand in hand, like two hands washing, you need both hands to wash your hands.
Okay. And Kevin says, Ajahn Jeff often points out the meditation paradox wherein we allow the mind to relax, but need to sustain effort in order to effectively train the mind. Otherwise, according to him, it's pointless. Yeah,
I would tend to agree on that. Yes, absolutely. So, but there are different ways of applying effort. So that's why sometimes we think that effort is just this, and then it's actually not really productive most of the time. So we really need to understand, for example, what we tend to like, and start tricking our mind to be interested in whatever a meditation object is. Looking at the qualities that naturally interest our mind and emphasizing those rather than telling our mind, do that, do that, do that. You also see that when you train animals. If you ever have, domesticated a cat. So Stan, the cat here, I taught him how to sit. I tell him sit, and he sits like a dog before eating. Which amuses a lot of people that come to the monastery. But the way that you do that, it's not by yelling at Stan. If I would go like, Stan, stop doing that, or Stan, like, sit, he would just think I'm a crazy person and would do the opposite and avoid me. So it's the same our mind. If we keep on going, focus on the object, focus on the object. And the mind goes like, oh, you're crazy. Bye. See you later. No, I'm going to go and do that. But instead, if you start noticing, observing the mind and kind of rewarding the mind, just like you reward the cat. That's how I trained him. Whenever he would do something that I liked, then I would either pet him or give him a treat. Then he started creating a positive association towards, for example, sitting quietly, silently, sits like that, quietly, and then he gets his food. Positive association. So in the same way, you're like, oh, for example, you start noticing, looking at the breath. You're like, oh, actually, this kind of feels good and relaxing. It's quite nice, the feeling of being relaxed instead of agitated. Let me keep doing this. Let me focus on that kind of delicious sensation. So then your mind starts developing a positive association, and you continue training it over and over until like it naturally goes towards the object. It's not a forceful effort, but it's right effort.
And Kevin is reminding people to support the monastery. So thank you, Kevin, for the reminder. So if you do want to support, you can go to buddhistinsights.com/donate. And Bradley, I'm not sure what the context for this was, but he says, reminds me of the sutta with Gavesi. Quote, those 500 mendicants headed by Gavesi, trying to go higher and higher, better and better, realized the supreme bliss of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And
Karen's... I don't know what it was referred to either, but I love it. I love your sutta quotes, Bante. Future Bante. Hopefully, Bradley.
Karen says, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you both for helping us make the most of quarantine time together. And Gabriella, clarifying her earlier question, she says, I get a lot of restlessness in practice because I end up investigating with too much thinking. This feeds papancha.
Yeah, so drop the wordings, drop all your thoughts about the experience and just observe the experience. So especially you, because you have really a lot of knowledge of Dhamma, which is great, it's wonderful. But I really think that for you, it's very good to close the book and get a beginner's mind. Investigate your experience. The method of no method. Just watch, look, what is your experience? And nourish that type of investigation rather than the cerebral investigation.
Okay, and then on the subject of the Bodhisattva attitude, Gabriella says, it brings a lot of joy and hope, especially when I feel shame and guilt and my esteem fails. I'm still at the end of the day practicing hard to help others and myself to awaken. This is how the Bodhisattva vows help me remind myself that my aspirations and goals are still good. So I'm still a worthy person who is having a slump, not a person who is wallowing in self-loathing.
Yes, wonderful, beautiful. Keep up that practice. Yes, recollect your own goodness. Always, the Buddha says it's recommended by the Buddha. So very good Yelp review.
And Bradley, also talking about Bodhisattva vows, he says, I have a tendency to shoot past in the opposite direction, to neglect myself to some degree in service of others. I tend to fall into martyrdom or the idiot compassion trap. So in a lot of ways, I'm more motivated to do things for others than to do things for myself. Thoughts on bringing the two into balance?
Yeah, it's a balancing act, isn't it? So it seems to me that then what you need to focus right now is to develop wisdom. So then you understand what is the appropriate response. So also, for example, in letting go of things, it's good to have a sort of gradual practice. There are lots of amusing stories that actually Venerable Kandro Rinpoche talks about. I'm probably going to butcher it now, but anyway, she was saying how, because she has a monastery in India, and when the nuns there hear for the first time like the teachings on generosity of like, you know, there's nothing better than leaving, or the aspirants, aspirant monastics that she had there, you know, there's nothing better than leaving everything behind, all your possessions. And so then a lot of them go and just, you know, give everything away. And then after 2 days, they're like, oh my God, what have I done? And then they go back to whoever, like, please, can you give that back? Like, I really actually changed my mind. So in a lot of monasteries also, actually, they tell you not to relinquish things. I think at Bhavana societies, up until you get big coordination, that you can't, you should not relinquish all your, you know, all the money in the bank or all the stuff that you have there. Because sometimes for some people, they have the thought that it's a good thing to do, the aspiration to do it, but then realistically it's not. They're not there yet. So we have to be a little bit understanding of what our situation is and develop wisdom, so that then our actions are the product of wisdom rather than the product of just pure aspiration or pure impulse of the moment. And also that we understand when it's the appropriate time to help someone and in the way to do it. And so you always want to like push a little bit the boundaries rather than too much. So for example, if you, not you necessarily, Brandy, but if someone wants to overcome stinginess, for example, one of the useful ways, or even if they're not stingy by nature, but they want to increase their generosity. Say, for example, in terms of money, what I used to do is I would think, okay, now I want to give 100. Okay, I'm going to give 110. Then 120, then 130. It's always increasing the boundary. So then you can give 1,000. Easier. But if you go from 100 to 1,000, and you're like, oh my God, $1,000 is too much. Can't do that. Or if it's time, you have 5 minutes. If you give an hour, then it's too much. If you're like, okay, I can listen to that person that is really annoying for 5 minutes. How about I do 7? How about I do 10? Then you're starting to expand, making more room without getting the burnout or the exhaustion. So this is what I found more helpful for me, and I'm still practicing that way actually. Really not with the money part, but with other ways of being kind. Whatever there is, whatever I have. There are very few things that we have as monastics, but actually, in some ways, it can be when you have very few things to give, then actually becomes even more special because you have to put more thought into it and be more creative.
Yeah, so Bradley says, yes, boundaries, my eternal struggle.
Yeah, well, there is no excellence without constant practice. So, gotta practice on creating the boundaries.
Yeah, says, though I suppose that too is impermanent.
Yes, all is impermanent.
And the last comment, Dan says, I often have papancha, proliferation about how to solve papancha.
Yeah, same as with Gabriella. Drop the mental thinking and just watch the experience. Mindfulness of the body is perfect for that. Because we normally don't really have that much like stories about the body. Actually, at the very beginning, most people that start meditation practice can't even feel their hands because they're so wrapped up in their thoughts. I think I was one of them. I don't remember anymore. But there were definitely a lot of things about the body that I had never paid attention to. So there was the papancha that we normally experience is not related to the fingers. It's not that I was like, oh, well, no, like my fingers feel like this or this other way and blah, blah, blah. No, I was like, oh, I even have fingers. And the papancha would be because I didn't find the fingers interesting, which was why I didn't even have probably an awareness of having fingers to begin with or how they felt. Was, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to make for lunch, and I want to go shopping there, and I want to travel, and I want to become the best whatever person in the career that I decided to do, or blah blah blah, the project, and blah blah blah. Like that's papancha. That is all like mental proliferation about all the likes and dislikes and things that we start thinking about. But when it comes to bare experience, we don't have pre-existing, very often we don't have pre-existing ideas of what the contact of the feelings of the fingers feels like. We just need to point the attention towards it and really understand it, see it.
Okay. Well, it looks like that's it for this evening. So thank you all for joining in, and please continue joining in morning and evening, every morning at 8 a.m. and every evening at 7:30 p.m. New York time. So hope to see you again soon. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.